It sounds like there's an amazing love story in there, Susan.
So when I was going through divorce, I intentionally didn't date. I didn't go on the dating apps. I at one point I started to look and I freaked out. I had to get to know me, where I needed to release unhealthy belief systems and unhealthy energy muck because I don't want to close my heart. I wanted
Mhm.
to be open hearted. So here's the happy ending or the happy beginning. I started setting an intention for a new relationship. I wanted somebody who was kind and compassionate. I wanted somebody who would love me and respect me for who I am. I wanted a full head of hair. And I was out with my girlfriends and they're like, they're like, have you seen the men our age? None of them have a full head of hair. I said, well, this guy's going to. It was all those things, right? And the day after I received my final divorce decree, overdone, and this person came up behind me, he put his hands on my shoulder, and all of a sudden it was like electrical fireworks. And I was like, oh my God, who is this? And I turn around and it's my current spouse.
Ah.
Full head of beautiful gray hair.
Oh, I have tingles
And
through my whole body.
yeah,
Welcome to the podcast, Empowered by Design. I am your host, Dr. Liz, a hopeful romantic, mom of two beautiful souls, and partner to the love of my life. As a licensed psychologist, I love helping people heal, grow, and shine. I am a love and relationship specialist and owner of Visionistas by Design Wellness Boutique, where we lead with love and empower you to fly. This podcast delivers inspirational stories, conversations, and lessons on the power of tuning in body, mind, heart, soul, and spirit. Following your intuition, seeing the signs, and listening to the whispers from angels. To pursue your dreams in life, work, and love with intentional vision. Share the love, spread the power. Dream, design, deliver. Susan Burrell is the author of Live Your Empowered Life, a 30-day journey book. She has a thought-provoking podcast called Empowering Chats with Susan Burrell that can be found on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and other popular platforms. Her guided meditations are accessible through the Insight Timer app. Susan is a feisty Scorpio, was even born with the red hair to back it up, and former actress who has navigated life by learning how to listen within to that divine urge that keeps pointing her in the direction of her life's purpose, even when she can't see the road. Susan is a guide in the crossroads of life with a master's degree in consciousness. She has been counseling and supporting people in transforming from the inside out for over 25 years. Her methods are proven because she has lived this journey to empowerment. Welcome, Susan.
hey Liz, thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for being here. I am excited. Yes, we're both um we have a shared passion for empowering people to live life with joy and balance, and I'm so excited. A fellow podcaster with with empowerment in the title. So I'm so excited to be here with you, and we're going to talk about lots of things. And what I love about these chats is we have an outline, a few things that we want to definitely get to, and then what I love is just being able to be open to see where things go, right? To just trust our own intuition and let the conversation lead itself. Um, so
Well,
thank
that's
you.
certainly what empowerment is, right?
Mm,
To trust yourself and let the inner wisdom of your heart lead you. That's
absolutely.
real empowerment.
Yes. Yeah. So I would love for you to start off by as I was checking out your website again, I noticed that your book, the book is has recently been placed on endorsed by Improve Her Health website and on the 29 best women advising books.
The title of it, Live Your Empowered Life, a 30-day journey. My intention, well, first of all, it's a workbook, everybody. It's a workbook,
Mhm.
because I believe in doing the work. The only way you can move from uh, feeling like a victim or not feeling worthy or not loving yourself is by digging in and doing the work, and that's an inner job. It's not an outer job. Nobody's going to fix you. You get to fix yourself. So when the book was first released, I had a couple of friends start to work it, and so it took them longer than 30 days. Is my intention was you do a daily practice every day. You do
Mm.
something every day. And part of it is so that you come out of the end at the end of the book with a renewed life purpose, but also a spiritual practice, whether it's journaling, because there's lots of journaling prompts. There's lots of affirmations that I personally worked when I was going through a really horrible divorce. And because so everything in the book I've done. So,
Mm.
and it's interactive with my website. So because there's guided meditations, I have this ability. It's a gift of just downloading guided meditations. I hear something and I'm like, oh, okay, that's the meditation we're going to use. When I'm working
Mm.
with clients, I often use a guided meditation to help them find their inner truth or wisdom. So the book is very interactive, and a lot of that is also, again, because when I'm going through my stuff, my yucky stuff, I need at least one person with me, to
Mm.
help, whether it's a mentor, a counselor, or a close friend, and I actually have always had circles of women from the time I was in my very early 20s, circles of women that support each other in uh, spiritual attunement, if you
Mm.
will, and also supporting each other in by deep listening to what's going on in each other's lives. So I always feel like that's important. So the journey isn't a solo journey. You've got me along the way. That's why there's videos to go back and forth to that are all housed on the website. So yeah, and it just kind of wrote itself because I had gone through all that stuff.
Yeah.
So it's like, wow, okay. When it was when I sat down to actually format it, it didn't take me long. So yeah.
So it's way more than a book, basically, is what you're telling us. It is a workbook, so you can hold it, which
Hmm.
I personally love to just like grab onto things like that. So it is a workbook that you can hold in your hand, you can write in it, and there are other aspects that are included in the workbook on your website
Hmm.
that help guide you through the workbook, through the book, as a journey, whether it takes you 30 days if you're a sprinter, maybe 30 days. And I love that flexibility. When I was looking at the book and looking at the little video that you can write on your website, if you're interested, you can check out the video. I love that you even describe it as this retreat, right? As you can do this, you can live your life, and this workbook slash journey to empowerment is also accessible wherever you are right now. You don't have to
Hmm.
you don't have to take time away from your real life. You can incorporate this as it fits into your life. So stretching it out, if it takes you 6 months, right? If it takes you more than 1 month to do this, it is up to you and your goals and your dream and your vision of how you use this beautiful book slash lots more videos that you are there with them
Hmm.
along the journey. I love that.
Yeah, it was, and I led a couple book studies when it first came out
Mm,
with people, um, because it's crafted so you start. I really believe this, Liz. The only way to find your inner access is you got to move the garbage in your head, right?
mm,
You've got to empty out the garbage, and one way that I do that, and I encourage my clients, is to journal the story out. And because you have to get that story that you run, whatever your
mm,
story is, for me, it was, about my ex-husband, get the story out of the head. So then you can see, well, okay, what's really going on with me emotionally, physically, mentally, emotionally within my body. And we often run a story to keep us distracted from our inner truth,
mm,
from what and our emotions. I know I did that.
mm.
I thought I was all good, but what I'd done is uh, I had a castle built around my heart. It
Mm,
was big turrets and a big moat, and the drawbridge never came down. I was like, I am, protected. And when you go through a trauma, it's important to feel the emotions that come in because of that trauma. I believe,
mhm.
because otherwise it downloads into the physical system, and then in my personal experience, and you create dis-ease, right?
Mhm.
Diseases come in, usually in my experience and how I've witnessed clients, because we haven't expressed our emotions. So to clear the story out, get the garbage out of the head. It's not so you can reread the story or show it to somebody. See, here's my story. It's to get it out, and then you can begin to face your emotions. And oftentimes what people hide under their emotions is fear,
Mm,
right? Anger covers fear. Guilt, shame cover fear. And I really think the biggest fear that most human beings have, and I would say especially women, is not being good enough, not
mm.
being worthy or valuable, not feeling that they deserve the love that we're all seeking, right?
Yeah.
So facing that fear, is really important, but you have to dig underneath to go, wow, here's anger. Let me pull that off. When I so I remember when I was going through divorce, because I did all of this, all the practices that are in the book. This is what I did personally to get myself through the divorce, and because I knew I wanted to come out whole,
Mhm.
basically. I wanted to know me, Susan, not me with my ex-husband, or not who he said I was, which was all a bunch of pack of lies. So I had to learn how to love myself. And I remember just feeling like, I meditate every day. I sit, it- you know, and some of it's to get quiet, some of it's to work through an issue, an emotion. Um, Lately, every time I sit to meditate, I have to have a good cry first, because lots of emotions are up, and that's okay. I'm okay with that. But I remember feeling like I had trench coats on.
Hmm.
I don't know if you ever. I was big. Peter Sellers fan, the Pink Panther, but he reminds me of the guy, a trench coat guy, and he's got stuff hidden, under the trench coat. See,
Yes.
hey, buddy, you want to buy a watch, and I remember pulling. I would energetically pull off this trench coat that was shame, and I'm like, oh my god, and then there'd be another one. Okay, let's just pull that one off, and so energetically pulling off the energy gunk that gets dropped on us all the time if we are unaware. It's so important. And then you can begin to investigate, who am I now? You know,
Yeah,
what do I
absolutely.
think about me now?
Yes.
And all that. And like I said, and then toward the middle to end of the book, you have an opportunity to write your life purpose so that you come out with something tangible at the end of the experience. So,
Wow. Yeah, so many layers of the story. So first sharing your story, which we love to do here on this podcast, and the importance of telling your story, but you're also highlighting how pulling off these layers are different versions of the story to get to really who you are from the inside out, that true, authentic self. Yes, I love that.
and so many people are, like I mentioned earlier, I was girded for battle, right? I, because I had been so hurt,
Mm,
traumatized during that 28-year marriage.
mm,
And so I remember right before my son was born, um, and I was meditating and I'm like, oh my God, I have to open my heart. I didn't even understand that I had shut it down. And
mhm,
I knew I wanted to love this amazing being.
mhm.
Uh, and so I had to open my heart. And that was scary because it's like the thing, you don't know what you don't know.
Mhm.
But when you become aware of what you don't know, right? Then you've got to face it and you've got to deal with it. And so I opened my heart to my son, and therefore opened again to my spouse at the time. And it was and my son's great. He's great. He's 28 and he's fabulous, and we have a good strong relationship. But it was like, wow, I didn't know I had shut down.
Mm.
So and I think a lot of people don't realize that they're shut down, you know
Yeah.
which keeps you from really having the ability to listen to your intuition, and or what I call the divine wisdom that resides within all of us. We come preloaded, right? We come with all the answers. We are, that little baby that's born has all the answers and all the solutions they ever need for their entire life, this time, for their soul growth and evolution. And it's all within the heart center, not the mind. And again, bright and shiny, we get stuck up in the head because we got to figure out a problem, especially if we are hiding out in fear and not realizing it. So that
Right.
then you become a control freak and you become obsessive, and all those things. And it's mostly because you're just running away from the truth of who you are, which we are all amazing divine sparks of this infinite source energy that is beyond description, and yet we feel it every day. We see it, we witness it
Mhm.
every day, because we live and move in an atmosphere of energy, of and it comes from a higher source than kind of multi-dimensional also, where we can't necessarily touch and feel that kind of energy unless you become really consciously awake. Not even awake, aware. when
Mhm.
you when you begin to open into your personal connection to source, then you can feel it. Like I have that's what I've dedicated my the rest of my life to. I mean, I was dedicated to it by when I was 17, actually. But so I've developed other skill sets that a lot of people, if you become aware, you can develop that too. But it takes intuitive listening to your higher self.
Absolutely. Yeah. So much of what you're saying, we speak we speak the same language. For sure. I love that you highlight some of these things that have been so key in your journey of life, and that there has been pain, and that there has been beauty and new life and growth, and opening the heart, and recognizing when you open it, how it was covered up or shut down or protected by that castle. But I think a couple things that stand out that are very key for the doing the work is that meditation, the peace that spending time in quiet reflection, quiet meditation with yourself and the divine energy, that has been key in your journey.
I've trained myself over 30 years to be able to drop into meditation in a moment. But that doesn't mean that my mind is quiet. You know, I got a pretty active, mind, imagination. We all do,
Mm,
and so I finally gave myself a free pass a while back. That it's not about, for me, my meditation practice isn't about me oming until I'm so quiet. It doesn't work that way for me. It does mean I've got to kind of watch the thoughts move through, right? Let them just go. Don't focus, don't go with the thoughts, right? Don't go with the movie playing in my head. But okay, so that's coming up. Well, oh, and here this is coming up. Oh, and then that's actually attached to an emotion. And I see it more, Liz, as my practice is about clearing and clarifying.
mm,
And then when I get to a certain part of that of my meditations, I feel source energy. I have electrical energy that moves down in and through my body.
mm,
It makes me a gifted healer
mm,
and an intuitive. And again, I think we all have access to the that kind of electrical conduit. We're conduits for spirit. A conduit is something where energy moves through it. Water moves through a conduit, right? So I get to a place where I allow that energy to come in. I welcome it, and I allow it to move in and inform me, illuminate me, please, please, please help me understand.
mm,
What let me know. So I developed a practice last year um, about talking to my heart, and I the wisdom of my heart, and I say, okay, I'm listening, and then I journal whatever it is I'm hearing or seeing, um, because in that are the answers. That circles back to that newborn baby that has come preloaded with all their solutions and all their answers, and and then life happens and we forget that we are connected to a major consciousness that always has our backs when we pay attention.
yeah.
So that's part of my practice.
Yeah, and I think why that resonates so strongly with me is that when I became intentional about setting time aside for myself to meditate, it was a life changer, absolute life
Hmm.
changer. And at first, I began kind of finding time throughout my day where I could, spend however many minutes I had to meditate. And um, not too long ago, almost 2 years ago, I switched and said, you know what, I'm going to try and do it in the morning. That's the first thing I'm going to do. And I have loved that time for myself. So I roll out of my bed and go to my meditation space, and since that time it's been expanded to include other things, meditation and journaling and writing and praying and reading and doing all these things that allow me to recharge. But the
Hmm.
key is that I love that you're talking about with this, with the energy and tuning in, is that my mind, like yours, is constantly going with ideas and daydreams and all of these things. And it doesn't stop that from happening, but it allows space for us to really digest it, notice it,
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
notice patterns and notice like, oh, wait, I'm feeling something in my body here connected to that. And where did that come from? Right? Like it's time that I have intentionally made to slow down and then tune into those, not just my mind, but what you're saying too, the the spiritual connection, the divine messages, those downloads, the intuitive messages that come when we make the time to
Mhm.
listen and tune in. I love that.
And be aware, just to be aware.
Mhm.
And mornings are my best time because if I don't do it in the morning, same with exercise. If I don't get it done in the morning, the day goes by and I haven't sat and listened and or gone for a walk or anything. So I'll eh, but the other thing about morning time, if for people that are listening, is that it is more quiet in the morning than it is,
Mm.
right after dawn. And I have a Sheltie. As soon
Mm.
as the sun comes up, oh my God. She's like, wake up, wake up, wake up. And so with daylight savings time, my morning practice got earlier and earlier.
Mhm.
But it's because the so many people are still not they're still sleeping, right? So you have a clearer channel, if you will, in the morning. um I have a friend who gets up at 5 in the morning all the time. She's phenomenal, because that's where she can that timing is where she can hear and
Mhm.
listen and be with herself best. So evening times are good. The idea of meditating twice a day is often recommended so that you open yourself in the morning and then in the evening you meditate and you can resolve anything before you actually go to sleep.
Mhm.
um, there's a great uh, there's a great app for people that don't meditate. This is I've been using this app with my students and clients for 18 years. It's called Insight Timer. And when they first started, it was just a timer, and you
Mhm.
could do little fun bells or chimes, but you could set it for 5 minutes and you didn't have to worry. It would go off in 5 minutes, and you could get on with your day, or you could set it for 30 minutes or whatever your dealy do is. And so these guided meditations that I get gifted or led to do. I have them all on Insight Timer now. So people can go to my website and go to the Insight Timer icon at the bottom of each page and click on that, and you'll go right to where I have all my various guided meditations. A couple of them are 5 minutes, a couple of them are 35 minutes. It just depends on what was coming through. So, and guided meditations for a lot of people, I personally don't like listening to guided meditations. Isn't that strange?
Mhm.
Because I'm tuned into me. I know me. My current spouse, when we were first together, he would love to listen to a guided meditation before falling asleep, and I would make him put in his earphones because I I don't want somebody else's voice in my head when I'm trying to sleep.
Mhm.
I just need I just need source energy. That's all I
Yeah,
need.
it's funny, I also use the Insight Timer app myself personally, and I'm a teacher there too. So another thing that we overlap on, I love that app. I recommend it all the time to my clients. I love that there's a free version. You can obviously
Yes.
pay a little bit more for some of the extra features, but I absolutely love there's thousands and thousands of amazing teachers and guides on there that have different tracks, right? With words. I love sometimes just the ones with music or
Music, yeah.
noise, the sound bowls. I absolutely recommend that app all the time. So that is so fun.
Yeah.
I'm going to read a quote from your website. You say, I teach what I have personally learned and navigated in my life. I have learned how to be with my dark side and to weed out the junk, the thoughts and the beliefs that harm or no longer serve me. I have lived it. I have rediscovered myself after feeling that my heart and my life were shattered beyond repair, only to realize my true self. The one I was meant to be was hidden under the rubble and shards of a seemingly broken life. It sounds like there's an amazing love story in there, Susan.
Oh, wow. Yeah, so when I was going through divorce, intentionally didn't date. I didn't go on the dating apps. I at one point I started to look, and I freaked out. And my son is like, Mom, don't go on those apps. Don't, no, no, Mom. And I'm like, well, if I eventually want to meet somebody, because I was in my early 50s, I had a whole second half of life to
Mm-hmm.
be. And he's like, I said, so where would I meet somebody, Sean? And he's like, well, you could go to a bar. I'm like, oh God, no, been there, done that. No, thank you. So I intentionally did not date. I I had, like I said earlier, I had to get to know me.
Mm,
I had
yes.
to understand me, and where I was healthy and where I needed to release unhealthy belief systems and unhealthy energy muck that my ex-husband, uh when you're in relationship, everybody, there's a you exchange energy with that person, good or bad, doesn't it just there's an energy exchange. With in friendship, there's an energy exchange. In
Mhm.
families, there's an energy exchange. And so I became very consciously aware that I was like tied up in a net, like a fisherman's net one day.
Mm,
I was like, "Oh my god, I
wow.
can't even move."
Hmm.
And so I had to, sit down and in meditation cut those strings, and
Wow.
I still have to I've been out of it for almost 10 years, that previous, and I still have to go in and cut the because the he
There's stuff that
he
still comes up.
well, there's that comes up, but there's also energy systems he consciously or unconsciously sends to
Mm,
me,
mhm,
so I have to be vigilant. It's not because I don't want to close my heart. I want it
mhm.
to be open hearted. So as we were getting close to the end, which it felt like I was going to die before we got through this divorce, and because I I was married to a narcissist, but the one where he doesn't even understand that he's a narcissist.
Mm.
So that was the trauma, and that's why he kept uh, you know trying to control me within like 30 seconds of a contact with him. He boom.
Yeah,
So
I can so I'm watching you because I can see you, but what she's doing, people, listeners, it's like you're clenching your fist, like there's this hold on you, right? Like I can see it because I can see you, but I love to give people this visual because it's so powerful. Both hands in the air and just like clenching this fist, like there's this physical
it
hold,
was.
energetic, spiritual, emotional, mental, all together, just like pressure around you.
And I want to say, and yet, and we'll get to the happy ending,
Yes.
because that's what started me. But I want to say to your listeners, if you are, because the narcissists are so subtle, you don't know that you're being
Mm,
traumatized or abused. You don't know. And then eventually, when they get done with that relationship, they wring you out.
mm,
They make you feel so worthless. And I've talked to other women,
mhm,
so worthless that you are going to be crawling on your knees the rest of your life if you do not become consciously aware of the truth of your being, and then the lies you've been told for
mm.
however many years. I have a client who's been in a marriage for close to 34 years, and the divorce is so contentious because she's been married to a narcissist who is wringing her out monetarily too, right? So they don't want you to have anything, no happiness, nothing. So that's why I did the work I did. That's
Mhm.
what is in my book. I don't talk about narcissism in the book, but because you do have to be careful. Because anyway, so when to answer my, so here's the happy ending or the happy beginning. Um, when I was realizing that the divorce might begin to be over, I started setting an intention for a new relationship,
Mm.
and just gentle intentions, not, and it's going to look like this and it's going to be, because that doesn't get you anywhere, everybody. You have to hold your intentions loosely because spirit may have a better idea.
Hmm.
So, and you have to be open to that. Well, you don't have to do anything I say, but it's good to be open.
It's helpful.
So it's helpful. So I started with a list of qualities that I wanted in my next relationship. And the first one was kindness. I wanted somebody who was kind and compassionate. I wanted somebody who would love me and respect me for who I am, not make me different, change, blah, blah. I added having all his money handled. Anybody who's thinking about, everybody needs to have their own money.
Yes.
So he had money handled and blah, blah. And I got down to specifics as I was getting closer to the end of, I wanted a full head of hair. And I was out with my girlfriends and they're like, have you seen the men our age? None of them have a full head of hair. I said, well, this guy's going to.
This
He just
guy
is.
does.
Right. He just is going to. And they're like, well, who's our age? And, I said, well, how about Mark Harmon? He has a beautiful
Mhm.
full hair, it's gray and it's beautiful. So it was all those things, right? And the day after I received my final divorce decree, overdone the paperwork from the courts, right?
Yeah.
The day after, I was serving at the Center for Spiritual Living, that the congregants were either in their 70s or 80s, married, or they were lesbians, So, and I had friends say, oh, well, you'll meet somebody at church. I'm like, no, I don't think so. I really don't. And this day after I got the divorce decree, after service, I do prayer work with people. And this person came up behind me. He put his hands on my shoulder, and all of a sudden it was like electrical fireworks. And I was like, oh my God, who is this? And I turn around and it's my current spouse.
Oh,
Full head of beautiful gray hair.
I have tingles
And
through my whole body.
yes. And we were just waiting for each other to complete the previous relationship.
Mm.
He's a widower. But when we finally connected, there was no mistake that we were
Wow.
supposed to be together and have
Yeah.
fun and
Fun.
love each other.
Fun
And
love.
he's fabulous. So
That's
I'm
wonderful.
so grateful. I'm so grateful. And I'm grateful to my um my soul and my
Mm.
higher self that kept me on track to do the work.
Yeah.
And I'm actually gonna say this. I am grateful to my ex-husband who put me through all those lessons so I could become more me and
Mm.
I could become a healthy person.
Mm.
And it takes, again, ladies, everybody that's listening, it takes a lot of work to be empowered. And then you have to consistently clear out the closet, so to speak. You have to consistently clear out your thinking to remain aligned with the truth of your being
Mm.
and
I
that
love that.
empowerment. And the empowerment really is source,
Mm.
it really, it's not like we're doing the heavy lifting. Well, we are, but source energy, like I said, just flows through us all the time, and becoming consciously aware of it and allowing it, receiving it, just makes your life better.
Yeah. Yeah, and the love story, there's a few, right? It was that you had to love you before
Yes,
being able to
first.
absolutely first along the way. And it's a journey that doesn't end, right? So we
You're
know
right.
that that's continuing. You've said that here today, that there's always the effort to clear things out and to recognize, to be aware, to notice when something pops up and it's like, uh-oh, got to do some work there.
Oh boy,
Right?
yeah.
The journey does not end. easier. It changes over the course of time and with circumstances. But I love, love, love the that power that you talk about of loving yourself, loving your source, loving spirit, loving the connection with your friends and family and divinity, and being open to what is what is supposed to be touching you on the shoulder from behind just
Mhm.
at the perfect moment.
Isn't
Love
that
that.
amazing?
It is
And
amazing.
when we were dating, and it was a rapid dating, it was like, oh my God. At one point, he said, I'm not here to make you happy. And I said, I totally agree. I'm going to make me happy. I
Yes.
make me happy. You make you happy. And together, we're going to be happy, which is
Love that.
the exact way our
Yes.
relationship is we both, he does his own inner work. He's just fabulous. So, yeah,
I love that.
I'm,
Yeah.
I make me happy. He makes him happy. And
Yes.
together we're
And
happy.
together, yes, one of the things that I use in my work with couples and people who are in relationship is we call it the fun love formula, but it's very much what you just said, where we each have our own circle, our own ring of identity, and that contributes to the ring of the relationship, right? So we must maintain an aspect of our own space, our own identity, our own joy, whether it's joy, love, fun, money, right? What you're saying, all of these things. We must, as individuals, maintain a sense of space and independence, and then contribute together in that
Yes.
shared space of the relationship is how we maintain the love, the fun love, the balance, the passion, and the empowerment. Love it.
Yeah. Oh, I love that description, Liz. That's exactly. I'm going to make. My son is engaged to be married,
Woo!
and I adore. I know, and I adore his fiance. She's been my uh, assistant
Oh,
um,
oh,
for the last few years, and so I was going to say I'm going to make my son listen to this podcast so he can hear that description.
there you go.
They're already kind of doing it. They're trying. They're trying to, and that's my big thing is to remain your own unique individual self, but learn to grow together.
Yes. Oh, I love that. Yeah, and actually he can download the little handout for free right on my website. So,
Okay.
yeah, it's because I love visuals, like you with the workbook, but it shows you the rings and then it shows you the things that go into them, right? Like we each have our
Mm,
own values that we have personally, but then we also have shared values or shared interests and shared culture, identity. But the important piece is respecting the differences, but also using the things that we share as the foundation for a healthy relationship. Those
yeah.
shared
Yes.
pieces are so important. So,
Yeah.
congratulations. I love weddings.
Yeah. Oh my
Love,
God. It's
love,
going to
love,
be
love.
spectacular. Yeah.
Fun. Yeah. You talked about how you have, your heart, and you recognize that sometimes it's open and there have been times when it's felt closed or really protected, bounded by the castle, the walls. What kind of um, guidance can you give to people who may need to understand better how to open the heart but protect it at the same time, right? Because I think we
Hmm.
think in that dichotomy of open heart, closed heart, and a lot of us do that when we suffer heartbreak and loss, whether it's through death or through divorce or what relationships end. And we kind of like then close it down. That's it. I'm done with love. How do we find that happy middle?
That's a really good question. And it's something that takes practice.
Mm,
So, if, if, if somebody so I start all my classes or my sessions with clients by inviting people to breathe into their heart center, breathing in
mm,
love
mm,
and exhaling love,
mm.
and breathing in love and
I'm
exhaling
doing
love.
it right
And that,
now.
Oh,
I
that's
love
so
it. I
cool.
love it.
Because I think that we have to remind ourselves that we are love. We are
Mm.
love, and we
Mhm.
are loving, and we are and with the breath, right? Breath is a circulation. So with the breath, then that love circulates within the mental, emotional, physical, and etheric bodies, breathing in love and exhaling love. And so that opens the heart. And but then to address the second part of your question, but then what do you do when you're open heart? Because being vulnerable in my experience that I've learned that that's where uh people can access, you better if you're open hearted, if you're allowing yourself to be transparent and vulnerable. Now, excuse me. It's interesting that I have to cough right now. That's so funny.
Oh.
Good God. uh but but there's a way to protect yourself, everybody, um by visualizing yourself surrounded by mirrors. And I have a great somatic healer I've been working with in preparation for my son's wedding so I can let go of the trauma. Um, and I always use mirrors and surrounded myself so the mirrors face out towards anybody coming towards you.
Hmm.
Well, his name's Scott Clover. He's fabulous. Scott invited me to step inside a disco ball.
Hmm.
Now, if anybody knows what a disco ball looks like, it's a bunch of little bitty mirrors, and it's a round shape. And when light hits it, it reflects it
Mm.
back in beautiful colors, like a
Mhm.
kaleidoscope and all this stuff. So, uh, when I energetically step into the disco ball, I feel completely safe. The other thing is in the cracks, or the little distance between those mirrors, you can uh say only love enters here.
Mm.
And anything unlike love gets reflected
Oh,
back to the sender. If
yes.
just know that it's being returned to sender. Any anger, fear,
Yep.
hatred, judgment, return to sender.
Mm.
And the only thing allowed in is love, because when you breathe love and circulate love, that becomes your attractor. That becomes your magnet to pull that more in. So the disco ball thing, you guys, is it's really fun, and then you're protected when you're out in the world, and that's a big deal right
I
now,
love that.
to be
Oh,
protected, but not because you're afraid, right?
because you're smart.
Well, and because you want to be fully you want to
Yeah.
be empowered by love, right? Powered by love and not fear. So to just put the fear outside the disco ball, your fear, and allow it to, if anybody comes at you, consciously or unconsciously, that those mirrors just reflect back what is not like love, and anything that's loving, kind, compassionate can come in.
Yeah. And I think I love that. I just love, love, love that image so much. And we'll use that again. So thank you. I think too, one of the words that popped into my head as we're talking about this, because both of us help people in this realm of finding that authenticity and living authentically, is that the trust is building while you are breathing in the love, breathing out the love, is that
Oh yeah.
it very intentionally trusting yourself, trusting your
Mm,
heart, right? Because I
mm,
think in those moments and um, kind of the fallout of heartbreak is that we don't trust ourselves anymore, right?
nope,
Like, how I
nope,
can't
nope.
trust myself now. I made this decision, and how did I let myself get into this relationship? And now what if I can't trust myself? And I
Right.
think that that is a absolute part of this journey, that happens, that I know happened with you too, is that you trusted yourself more and more, even though it can be scary, but you build the trust in yourself in order to be able to give that trust and love and share it with others.
Right. 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 That's brilliant what you just said, Liz, because I I have trust issues. I
Mm.
do.
Mhm.
And so breathing and focusing on being love is absolutely connected to trusting
Absolutely.
myself,
Yes.
trusting myself more,
Mhm.
loving myself more, all that stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whew. This is
Cool. That's so
this is
cool.
good. Very, very fun. Tell us where we can find you and follow you and connect with you.
Well, I'm so go to my website, Susan Burrell, BURRELL.com. And all the little icons, social media icons are at the bottom of each page, Instagram and Twitter and Facebook and I don't know,
All of
all
them.
that stuff. Right. Um, and if you've got a question, you can contact me through the website.
Great.
So,
Awesome.
yeah.
Wonderful. Yeah. And I will also put that in the show notes. I will link that into the show notes as well. Oh, Susan, my heart is just beaming today. Thank you so much
Oh,
for joining me here. This was so amazing. I know, like, as I'm in this space with you, that it's amazing, and I also know and trust that there will be so much love and good that comes from our conversation, and I'm so excited to share it out into the world, and I invite the listeners to share it as well, right? So
oh,
when
yes. Thank
Oh,
you.
some of the most amazing things that have happened in my life have been because someone said to me, Liz, you must read this or you have to hear this podcast, and have shared it with me. That is how we love, right? So you can do that today, is share this with someone who needs to hear this message, someone that you love. Share it far and wide, because that is both of our mission and vision
Mhm.
in this life, is to spread this love so that everyone can feel empowered.
Yes, yes, yes. And I think the truth is of being made human, walking on planet Earth, is to feel that power, right?
Mhm.
The alignment with source, and to
Yes.
really live from that place, not from all the headspace stuff that causes and creates uh, things that are not like love. So
Right.
yeah,
Right. Yeah.
yeah.
Well,
Thank you,
thank
Liz.
you. Thank you so much. I'm so excited, so thankful for connecting with you. And I look forward to following you and seeing the amazing things that you continue to do and share with the world.
Thank you so much. I
Thank you.
appreciate it.
Thank you for listening. Thank you for tuning in to this podcast episode. I am Dr. Liz. I am your host of this episode and all the episodes on the Empowered by Design podcast. Again, please share this with someone that you love. And I cannot wait to connect with you again next time, sending and sharing lots and lots of love with you today. Take care. Thank you for connecting on this episode of the podcast, Empowered by Design. For further connection, subscribe to my email list at drliz.com to be sure that you are in the loop for exciting news, events, and resources. You can also follow me on social media at Dr. Liz and at Visionistas by Design. I invite you to subscribe to this podcast and send this episode to one of your people in order to share the love, spread the power. This podcast is designed to inspire, educate, and empower you to pursue your dreams with intentional vision. This podcast is not meant to be a substitute for psychological treatment or a working relationship with a licensed mental health professional. For more information on connecting with mental health resources in your area, visit drliz.com and click on resources. Thank you again for connecting. And remember, trust the heart, work your vision, dream, design, deliver.